Josh. It's wonderful to play with you. Eric, wonderful to play with you, my friend.
You too, Aggie. Always a treat.
Fun. It's great to see y'all.
Yeah.
One more. What do you got? Me and Eric are hogging all the glory over here.
Hey, it's been good calls so far.
I got a great one.
I got no complaints. All right. Get pop ready, I'll make sure, and then we'll go. Okay.
Pop up.
Mambo.
All right, so someone can just cue whenever we go back to the top. We see everybody's
And
well
then-
seated, we take it out, and that's it.
Okay, great.
All right.
So, right now?
Yep.
1,
Top.
Will everyone please be seated? Good afternoon, everyone. What an amazing day for a celebration like this. Welcome Regent Hipsch, Vice Provost and Dean McMaster, Dean Bohr, faculty, staff, parents, families, and friends. My name is Julie Grossman, Associate Dean of Undergraduate Programs in the College of Food, Agricultural, and Natural Resource Sciences. What a great honor to be looking out from this vantage point at all of these smiling faces. Those of you who know me know how excited I get thinking about how each of you will contribute to making the positive change that you hope to make in the world. As we celebrate today, let us not forget to express our gratitude to those who have supported us along the way. Our families, friends, mentors, and the entire CFANS community. Their encouragement, guidance, and unwavering belief in our potential has been instrumental in all of our success. Please join me in celebrating those who have stood by you throughout your academic career and those who are here with you today, your loving families, supporters, and friends. Let's begin by giving them a big hand. One of the most profound lessons we've learned through our time here is the importance of community. CFANS at its very core is not just a college, it's a close-knit community of scholars, researchers, and learners, united by a common mission to advance knowledge and improve lives through the sciences of food, agriculture, and natural resources. But what does it mean to truly build community? It means embracing diversity and inclusivity, recognizing the unique strengths and perspectives that each individual brings to our tables. It means listening empathetically, respecting differing opinions, and finding common ground even amidst disagreement. At CFANS, our community values collaboration and interdisciplinary approaches to solving complex problems. Whether it's tackling food insecurity, mitigating the impacts of climate change, or preserving biodiversity, we've seen how working together across disciplines can lead to innovative solutions with far-reaching impacts. Many of you have distinguished yourselves during your time here at CFANS, and we'd like to take this moment to recognize some of those accomplishments. First, to all graduating from the University Honors Program, you have undertaken a rigorous course of study, as well as scholarship, research, or creative work culminating in an honors thesis, while simultaneously you've maintained high-quality academic work in your other courses. We want to recognize you. Will all students who participated in the University Honors Program please stand for recognition? Please be seated. Next, I'd like to recognize students who are graduating with distinction, a GPA of 3.75, and with high distinction, a GPA of 3.9. Will all students who are graduating with distinction or high distinction please stand for recognition? Please be seated. And last, I'd like to recognize all of you who have worked so hard, persevered through challenges, and made this college, this university, and the world a better place. Will the entire class of 2024 please rise and be recognized? Please be seated. It is now my pleasure to introduce our CFANS Dean, Brian Bohr. Please join me in welcoming Dean Bohr.
Thank you, Dean Grossman. Appreciate that introduction of our students. And again, congratulations to the class of 2024. It's great to see you all. I'll just briefly introduce a couple of other people with us, and certainly I want to welcome Regent Hipsch, who's joined us today, Vice Provost McMaster, who's joined us, the Vice Provost for Undergraduate Programs, our faculty, family, and guests, of course, students. I want to welcome you all and thank you for joining us here today for the celebration of the students who will be graduating today. I'm especially excited. I think I realized probably yesterday that you all probably might have this as your first graduation. How many of you is that true for? A fair number. So this is a terrific day. Congratulations. I was thinking about this. We're going through several of these now, but you were the class that came in your senior year. Might not have had a graduation in your classes, or you had a drive-through graduation. So we really wanted to make this a celebration today for you, to recognize all of your accomplishments throughout your academic careers and throughout your lives. And especially as I say that, I recognize that all of the parents, all of your friends, family, have been a part of that success. So let's give that those folks a round of applause too. I'm sure they've been key supporters. The other part of this, of course, is you've been at the University of Minnesota. Is you came in at a time when your classes were remote and online. And a key part of that, as I think back to those years, was that our faculty, of course, many were teaching online classes. They were doing remote courses. But of course, during that time, they were forced to think about how are we going to deliver courses to you. So I do want to, for our faculty seated here today, recognize their work throughout these years where they were innovative. They brought that into innovation in their classes going forward, and have just been terrific examples, as you are, of working through these challenging times. So I do want to recognize and thank all of our faculty here today who are joining us too. So, coming off of that, just a few remarks. I'll try to keep this brief, but I was thinking about what do you say to a group of students who, through your short lives and years, have gone through a lot of different events that really we think about usually in terms of decades or eons of things happening. So you've come through quite a lot to be here, and your resilience is amazing. And I was thinking about what do you say about that, or what can you add? Because you've learned endurance, you've learned flexibility, you've learned how to adapt, you've learned to adjust and work together in your endeavors to do those things. And as I was thinking about it, though, I thought about one of my favorite, and I'm going to not actually, I didn't actually make a speech today. I'm going to read one from somebody, not fully read it, but I'll go through it. And it's the one that I see as a bearing, I think, that we all can reflect on right now, because it does echo history so directly for what's occurring now. It actually goes back, it's about servant leadership, which most of you have probably heard of before. I'm not sure how many know where that phrasing, actually the genesis is, but this was written in 1968. So another era of great changes and great opportunities as well. And it's actually the drum major instinct speech. So I'm not sure how many of you have actually ever heard that. I'll just make a preamble to this, that I encourage anyone to go out and listen to that sometime, by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. And I first heard it, which is kind of interesting. It was on a cassette tape. Anybody know what a cassette tape is in this part of the room? Okay, you still got cassette tapes out there? I just happened to have a mentor who came to me one day when Ronald Reagan had passed the Martin Luther King holiday, national holiday, and said, you should listen to this speech. And you all know the typical ones, but I certainly hadn't heard of this before. And some of the pretext to it is, as you're here today, we do look to you to strive to be first in what you do, to be important, to be excellent, to do all those things. And I think the part of the drum major instinct was about that issue of service, where in being first and being important, there's an ego element to that. And that ego element can be destructive for people. And so we think about how do we become servants in the things that we do. So I'm going to read through this. It's a very brief segment of it. It's about a 35-minute speech when he originally did it. It is online, and you do have to listen to it. There is no voice that resonates as much as Dr. Martin Luther King's. And I'm just going to start reading it from here. So you want to be first, you want to be important, you want to be significant. Well, you ought to be. Don't give up this instinct. It's a good instinct if you use it right. But if you feel the need to be first in love, be first in moral excellence, be first in generosity. This is what you need to do. So you want to be important? Wonderful. If you want to be recognized? Wonderful. If you want to be great? Wonderful. But recognize that they who are greatest among you shall be the servant. And that's a different definition of greatness. By giving that definition of greatness, it means everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. Well, I got to stop there and say, well, you should have a college degree, okay? Just to be clear, you just don't have to have it. You didn't have to make your subject and verb agree to serve. You didn't have to know Plato or Aristotle to serve. You don't need to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. And you don't need to know plant physiology to serve, and you don't need to know ruminant microbiomes to serve. He did not say that either. He didn't know, I'm sure he may not have known what ruminant microbiome was. But all that you really need is a heart full of grace, and you can be that servant. And then the poignant part of this is he goes on, this was in February 1968, and he was actually, his funeral was April, 2 months later from that period. And so in this, I just say that because going to this next part, because he talks about his eulogy and what he wants people to say about him. And he says, tell them not to mention that I have a Nobel Prize. Tell them not to say where I went to school. Tell them only on that day Martin Luther King tried to give his life serving others, that Martin Luther King tried to love somebody, that he tried to feed the hungry, that he tried to clothe the naked, that he tried to love and serve humanity. And I think the reason this resonates for me, I've lived my life in agriculture and food systems. I've worked with food aid organizations. I've worked across this space as a place where you can really give back to those communities. And so that piece to me resonates of all his incredible speeches and insights to where we're at now and how we think about serving and going forward in the work that you do. And he says, if you say that I was a drum major, say I was a drum major for justice, I was a drum major for peace, I was a drum major for righteousness, and all the other shallow things will not matter. And so with that, I'll just leave that there to think about as we celebrate, and this is a celebratory talk of celebrating the triumph of servants in the world doing their work. It's a high standard to reach. As a public university, we've tried to reach that standard in your education. We send you out to serve in those roles, to lead your communities, to lead in justice and peace, and so we appreciate that work that's there yet to do. So with that, I will aspire for all of you to be drum majors in your work. We're excited about your futures. You have tremendous futures in front of you. You've trained well, you've worked hard. Congratulations to the class of 2024.
Thank you, Dean Burr. Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Haldil Roseby, and I serve as Assistant Dean for Student Services and International Programs. It's my pleasure to introduce the 2024 graduating class student speaker, Yasmin Moran. Yasmin is graduating with a Bachelor of Sciences in Nutrition Studies and a minor in Public Health. She was born and raised in Northern Virginia. From a young age, Yasmin exhibited a passion for cooking, but struggled with many digestive challenges that sparked her passion for understanding nutrition. She has served as a teaching assistant and academic tutor, worked in numerous nutrition roles, and helped with research projects focusing on heart failure, Alzheimer's disease, and abdominal obesity. I am personally grateful for having the opportunity to work with Yasmin through our Research Apprentice program, which is a scholarship program designed to provide freshman students an opportunity to participate in undergraduate research from the very beginning of their collegiate career. Yasmin is a Dean's List and Cargill Thrive Scholarship recipient and has volunteered in healthcare settings, mentored prospective students, and advocated for her peers in various leadership roles. Please help me welcome Yasmin.
So, I had it all planned out. I was going to become a heart surgeon, and all I had to do was get into CBS, the College of Biological Sciences, and get a 520 on the MCAT, accumulate 2,000 clinical hours, and 1,000 research hours, and 500 volunteer hours, and 250 leadership hours. Oh, and I also needed to get my name on 5 publications if I wanted to stand a chance of getting into medical school. I am so proud to announce today that I accomplished absolutely none of that. In fact, I didn't even get admitted into CBS for my first choice major of biology. So, I'm here today graduating with all of you in CFANS, the College of Food, Agricultural, and Natural Resource Sciences. Thanks to CFANS, I got to fall in love with the nutrition field, a passion I probably never would have explored or pursued had I been admitted as a biology major in CBS. What you have planned initially isn't always the main path, because sometimes rejection is actually just a redirection. And as my heart began to stray from my longtime dream of becoming a heart surgeon, I knew it was time to seriously ask myself the one question I never allowed myself to consider. Do you really want to be a surgeon? The only time I let myself consider deviating from my plan was during my sophomore year of high school, when I decided I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. When I told people that, they laughed at me and not with me, and I'm pretty sure as a stand-up comedian, you're supposed to tell the jokes and not be the joke. So naturally, I went back to my plan of becoming a surgeon because at the time, for some reason, it made more sense to me that becoming a heart surgeon was easier than becoming a stand-up comedian. And while I realized that surgery was a great way to manifest my passion for helping others, the human body and Grey's Anatomy, I had only pursued it because it was always my safety net. You might think I'm ridiculous to say that, whose backup plan is going to medical school to become a heart surgeon. Without realizing it, I was so against considering other career options because becoming a surgeon was the plan for the longest time. And I love plans. And you know what I love even more? Sticking to them. But my plan got derailed when I was admitted into the nutrition program, and I realized this was a valuable lesson. What had initially been a rejection was actually the redirection I didn't know I needed or even wanted. You can try to plan your whole life, and you can even try to stick to it. Trust me, I would know. But I can guarantee you that it almost never goes according to plan. And that sucks. It's uncomfortable. And maybe for a while it'll feel like the world is ending, the sky is falling, and you're a failure. For those of you who have been to the Food Science and Nutrition Building or even Walter Library, we know those front doors are heavy. And sometimes it feels like no matter how hard you try to pull that door to open for you, it won't budge. And there are times when life will feel that way. And that just might mean you're not destined for that door and there's a window elsewhere that is wide open for you. In case anyone's confused, this is about life and not how to break into university buildings. So, when it's your first time encountering a door that doesn't open for you, naturally you take it personally and you think you're the problem. Perhaps like me, you didn't get into the college you wanted for your first choice major. You think it must be because you weren't smart enough. This one hurts. Perhaps that freshman year friend group you met during welcome week moved on without you. You think it must be because you weren't funny enough. This one hurts even more. Perhaps that post-graduation job that you've been dreaming about the last few years started their email with thank you for your interest and not congratulations. This one hurts the most. But as you reflect on these past experiences and compare them to where you are now, you can begin to see how these rejections were actually redirections in hindsight. The major you have now is more interesting than the one you thought you wanted freshman year. The time you had to make your new friends became available because that previous friend group took up less of your time. And there's going to be an amazing job opportunity that you never would have discovered if the first job you applied for was accepted and you was offered and you accepted. Rejection can be a blessing in disguise because none of us would be here right now if it weren't for all the redirections that brought us together as graduates and CFANS today. So, I had it all planned out. I was going to become a heart surgeon. And all I had to do was get into CBS. And thanks to CFANS, I got to fall in love with the nutrition field, a passion I definitely never would have pursued or explored had I been accepted as a biology major in CBS. As we transition into our postgraduate lives, we will encounter more unexpected rejections in the future. And as they come to fruition, I would encourage you to recall these previous times where you have turned rejection into redirection and found the courage to embrace new opportunities that you would not have considered otherwise. I wish each and every one of you the best in your future redirections because there will be more, but now we're ready for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin, for that wonderful, wonderful story. We wish you great success in graduate school, along with the entire class of 2024. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce Tracy Limbo, the current president of the CFANS Alumni Society. Tracy received her BS in Applied Economics in 1994. She is the Chief Commercial Officer for AgVend, working with agricultural retailers to help them to work digitally with their internal teams, their customers, and their partners in the value chain. She and her husband, Todd, also own a pick-your-own berry farm, Double T Acres, near their home in Nisswa, Minnesota. I'll see you there. Her cherished experiences at the U of M have served her well in her career and her life. She has held multiple leadership roles, supporting advancements in U.S. and international agriculture in BASF, Pioneer, which is now Corteva, Agtegra Cooperative, and Growers Edge. As the current president of the CFANS Alumni Society Board, Tracy wants to raise awareness about the unmatched experiences available on the St. Paul campus, to prepare students for amazing careers and to pay it forward to students as mentors have done for her. She is very proud to be a Golden Gopher. Please join me in welcoming Tracy to the podium.
Thank you, Dr. Grossman. As she mentioned, I'm Tracy Limbaud, 1994 Applied Economics graduate, current president of the CFANS Alumni Society Board. On behalf of the more than 30,000 CFANS alumni in Minnesota, across the U.S., and around the world, it is my absolute pleasure to congratulate each of you in this major milestone as members of the CFANS graduating class of 2024. And to thank those of you that are in the room attending and supporting this year's class. It was a lot of fun to see some of the names on the list as peers of mine and also alumni as your kids are now graduating as CFANS. How exciting is that? Graduates, take a moment. Reflect on this journey that you have been on since you made this decision to come to the University of Minnesota to this point. Be proud of what you've accomplished. You've gained a wealth of experiences. You've met some great people. Many of them have provided you a tremendous start to your personal and your professional network. I'm certain that your time at CFANS has prepared you to make a difference in the world, and you're ready to take on some great opportunities that the world has to offer to you. Here's a few things to keep in mind as you begin this next phase of your journey. As I was thinking about and reflecting on that it's been 30 years since I had this experience that you're going through, I really had a lot of things that I could pull back to, and there's a couple of them that I wanted to share with you. The first one is keep learning. Ask questions, be curious, stretch yourself. The second one is to always be yourself. I reflected on a situation where I had one of my managers and a mentor said to me, you know what, Tracy, if I wanted you to act and think like I do, then I don't actually need you on my team. I could do it myself. What I need is for you to show up and share with me your thoughts and bring your experiences to the table. So be yourself. Seek to understand the perspectives of others and surround yourself with people that understand you, believe in you, and bring you joy. The CFANS Society alumni believes in you, and we are here to support you. Our mission is to build relationships with alumni, faculty, students, and community members to create a beneficial outcome for all. As the president, I've engaged and connected with CFANS and the University of Minnesota community several events throughout homecoming, networking events, the Borealis Night of Excellence, and the mentoring program. And while I've enjoyed many of these events and the programs, the one that I've cherished over the years is the mentor program. I had the privilege of being part of the very first mentor program. It was in 1992. We had 6 matches in that first year. This year, its 32nd year of the program, there are 111 matches between students and mentors. And of those, 30 are first-time mentors. Thanks to many of you that have participated in this program. In the future, I hope that you will all consider participating as a mentor. It's a tremendous way to continue to build your own network and support students like you. Through the mentor program, many students have built their network, found an internship or a full-time job, picked up valuable advice, and even gained a lifelong friend and advocate because of their CFANS mentor. My original mentor is still a mentor of mine today, and it's pretty exciting that his daughter is here celebrating her graduation from CFANS. So my career path was certainly impacted by that alumni connection. The CFANS alumni community spans the world as part of our most localized issues to those at the global level. It's a proven networking community that brings together people over common goals. No matter where you end up in the world, there is an opportunity for you to connect. CFANS Alumni Society is an impactful organization worthy of your consideration as a place to invest your time and your talents. On behalf of the CFANS Alumni Society, congratulations on reaching this milestone. We are proud to call you fellow alumni, and the University of Minnesota CFANS says, go Gophers.
Thank you, Tracy. It is now my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this afternoon, my friend and colleague, Dr. Jim Luby. Dr. Luby is a professor in the Department of Horticultural Science, where he has directed research in fruit crops, breeding, and genetics since 1982. As many of you know, Dr. Luby is the face and the brain behind our favorite apple, the Honeycrisp. Luby grew up in Wisconsin, and his education includes a BS degree in crop science from Purdue and a PhD in plant breeding from the University of Minnesota. The emphasis of his research program is to develop new fruit varieties that combine a satisfying eating experience for the consumer with cold hardiness and disease resistance. Under his direction, the University of Minnesota Fruit Crops Breeding Program has introduced and commercialized 31 cultivars of apples, wine grapes, blueberries, strawberries, and other fruits. Apple introductions include, of course, the Honeycrisp and Sweet Tango, which are have been number 1 and number 10 respectively in retail value over the past few years. Luby has taught and advised graduate students and undergraduate students in plant breeding and fruit production. He's published over 150 peer-reviewed papers and book chapters, and his award list is long, so bear with me. Here we go. His awards include induction as a fellow in the American Society of Horticultural Science and the Society's Career Awards for Outstanding Researcher and Outstanding Graduate Educator. He also has an award from the American Pomological Society's Wilder Medal for outstanding contributions in fruit breeding, and as well as a really big one, a recent honor of the Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Association of Plant Breeders just this past year. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jim Luby.
Thank you for that kind introduction, Dean Grossman. And congratulations, class of 2024. I've attended numerous commencement ceremonies through my career in the faculty, and I'm honored to say a few words at yours. Commencements are among the most enjoyable experience for a faculty member. Everybody is happy. And since this, for many of you, this is your first one, you're probably especially happy too. So congratulations on that. Parents, friends, everybody's happy, right? Yeah. Okay. As Associate Dean Grossman noted, I've had the honor of directing the Fruit Crops Breeding and Genetics program here at the University of Minnesota for the last 4 decades of its 115-year history. Although we have bred new varieties of many fruits, as she noted, we are probably best known for our contributions to the apple world. Now, developing a new apple variety is a really long process, as with any tree species. It usually takes 20 to 25 years from when we first make the cross, which we will be doing in this next week as the apple trees bloom, to when the fruit become available to consumers from a new variety. So it's a long development cycle. It's harder to go much faster with a tree species. If you want to find out how much fruit a 10-year-old tree produces, you kind of got to grow it till it's 10 years old. I had a professor for my first undergraduate plant breeding class who worked as a black walnut breeder. Now that's even a longer cycle plant, as you might imagine. He told us the best and worst feature about being a tree breeder was that it took so long that you might not know whether you're a great breeder or a poor breeder by the time you finish your career. But thanks to the efforts of many people who have contributed to the continuous advancement of the University of Minnesota apple breeding program since 1908, we developed the Honeycrisp apple. And it brought an explosive crunchiness, a chin-dripping juiciness to the apple shelf that has propelled it into the top 3 apple varieties being produced in the U.S. and the only one from a U.S. breeding program. So over the last couple decades, as more people had a chance to eat a Honeycrisp and more growers made the commitment to produce it, I and others in our research group have been really gratified to be able to say Honeycrisp was from the University of Minnesota, and we were part of its development. Growers have told us how much fun it was to grow apples again, that people really like. Friends, neighbors, and complete strangers have told us over the years how much they enjoy eating a Honeycrisp. Some complete strangers have been so delighted they have written emails or letters even and sent them to us kind of out of the blue. As an example, here's a card I received about a decade ago from a woman in Arizona. Hopefully that's showing up on the Jumbotron there, thanks to our great camera operator back there. Okay, this is a real card. I showed it to Dean Grossman, and she said, "Really? You've kept this card for a decade?" And well, it's pretty sweet, actually. She says inside, you can probably see here, there's a little hummingbird diving into a flower, and she says, "Honeycrisp apples are as delicious as nectar to a hummingbird." So, she wrote more here too, which I will read to you. "Dear Mr. Luby, I just wanted to sincerely thank you for creating Honeycrisp apples. I know it seems a bit silly to send you a note, but this is a really big, capital B-I-G, deal. I ate apples. I do not eat fruit. It disgusts me. You might as well eat worms. I ate apples as a kid, but every time I've decided to buy apples as an adult, I've been greatly disappointed. Red Delicious apples are not, capital N-O-T, delicious. They are mealy and have a bitter skin. I would love to eat fruit like a normal person, but could never get past the taste. So I've lived all my adult life not eating fruit, having people ask me, why am I still alive? Until now. A couple weeks ago, a coworker brought slices of a Honeycrisp apple to work and shared them. And then in all caps, "It was so good." I immediately bought some Honeycrisp apples at the grocery store. I eat apples every day now. This is beyond amazing for me. I keep expecting hell to freeze over and pigs to fly. No joke. I think it is important to tell people when they have made a difference in someone's life and thank them for their efforts. Thank you so much for Honeycrisp apples. I am so happy to be able to eat apples again. Sincerely, Rebecca M. Now that was quite gratifying and humbling to come out of the blue from a stranger. And I'll highlight 3 learnings I took away from Rebecca's thank you note. First of all, to my dismay, my complete dismay, there are people out there that don't eat fruit. For whatever reason. Some of them I understand, maybe they're allergic or they feel they can't afford it, or just haven't found any that they like. As apple breeders, we can try to do something about this. Our mission continues to be to try to develop fruit with a delightful eating experience and that can be produced at a price that people can afford to experience them. Now, a second learning, and this is for all of us, is you never know how you'll touch someone's life with the things you do or the products you put out in this case. And we changed Rebecca's life so much that she felt compelled to take a few minutes to write a note to let us know, us who she really didn't know personally at all. And at the University of Minnesota, we develop lots of knowledge, lots of technology. We are driven to discover, as our tagline says. Much of this knowledge and innovation is hidden, though, or anonymous to the people it touches. One of the gratifying aspects of being involved in our apple breeding program is that it represents U of M research that can be very visible and appreciated by Minnesota citizens, and indeed by anyone who eats apples, And I'd like to think that our apples represent a little bit of the University of Minnesota in everybody's refrigerator or fruit basket. The most important learning from Rebecca's note is one we can all act on today. She wrote, quote, "I think it is important to tell people when they've made a difference in someone's life and thank them for their efforts," end quote. So this is a fantastic day for you as graduates, families and friends of graduates. Graduates, please be sure to tell these people, your supporters, what a difference they have made in your life. And let's thank them all for being here, and I thank you for all of your contributions.
Thank you, Jim, for your message, our students, and from all of us. And I want to personally thank you for being a wonderful colleague, mentor, and friend for so many students and faculty, including me. We're now ready to present today's graduates. We'll present the graduates by major in alphabetical order. We will read their names as they cross the stage for congratulations and to receive their diploma cover. The graduates will then return to their seats. Normally, this is where I ask the audience to hold their applause until the end, but your students are graduating from CFANS, so it's okay with me if you give a brief cheer, but just keep it a little bit short so we can hear everyone's name. Dr. Star Sage, Assistant Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for CFANS, and Mary Buschetti, the Director of Alumni and Constituent Relations for CFANS, will be reading the names of this year's graduates. And now, it is my distinct honor to present the graduates of the class of 2024.
Our first major, represented by Dr. Rebecca Swenson, is Agricultural Communications and Marketing. Luke Borst. Abby Foss. Nicole Kazalik. Kate Meyer. Keslin Willard. Chloe Murphy. Emmanuel Chavira. Jenna Scarpel. Zachariah Booth. Emily UK. Kenneth Duffy. The next major is Agricultural Education, represented by Dr. Amy Smith. Emily Cianarome. Carly Knupp. Isabella Patterson. Kelsey Beal. And Paige Stuber. The next major is Agricultural and Food Business Management, represented by Dr. Francis Homans. Ong Ko. Thomas McNamara. Zachary Myers. Maxwell McGraw. Aislinn Rogers. Dane Habenschild. Tate Shelsted. Eliza Endress. Elizabeth Mansfield. Abby Janish. Catherine Helligson. And Neva White. Ethan Hurt. Cole Gentz. Connor Crown. Nicholas Woog. On Lean. Andrew Hayek. Aparna Ninamanuri. Clarice Wono. Jacob Valerius. William Bosch. Ryan Schomburger. Will Slenica.
Up next is Animal Science, represented by Anoop Jani and Anthony Sikora. Ready? Rihanna Iskerka. Danielle Mays. Brianna Lear. Becca Birkenpass. Nicholas Floam. Isaac Root. Emily Dahlbeck. Miranda Kernut. Timothy Magdahl. Ana Karina Muchuka. Kaylee Skier. Amber Cole DeRocher. Elizabeth Oberg. Roberta Rooker. Peyton Jensen. Vijaha Gopalan. Anna Langer. Tara Detellier. Sophia Jugier. Lauren Jacobson. Liliana Erisman. Caitlin Sampson. Seth Reichs. Paula Ruiz Gonzalez. Mackenzie Mello. Lee Herbst. Cora Laynard. Michaela Sanchez Ciceda. Noah Deutmeyer. Alexis Songa. Madeline Brown. Kira Kwam. Eliza Ohm. Kristen Sochek. Abigail Richardson. Elena Klein. Samantha Cameron. Lauren Peterson. Kate Coltez. Tenzin Seldom. Reagan Miller. Erica Loger. Alexander Reinbold. Carolyn Brame. Olivia Ansell. Sophia Liu. Deja Swadekamp. Ashley Hansen. Shauna Cast. Alexis Kang. Angela Yang. Isabel Derry. Elena Perez Colsis. Drew Meyer. Hannah Birschbach. Emily Gillette. Olivia Boyd. Margot Maxwell. Mariam Ali. Jarrett Masoti.
That's the last student, so the next one's applied economics. You have that one too, right? Yes. See, that's the end of the animal science.
And that's the end of the animal science majors, graduates. Up next, we have applied economics represented by Dr. Terry Hurley. Ian Olson. Christopher Davis. Quinn Elliott. Lucas Walinga. Madison Saham. Catherine Lindquist. Grace Johnson. Ziad Mahfouz. Veronica Nowakowski. Ya Adaruro. Layla Abdi Wahab. Aaliyah Dejan. Habon Jabril. Lars Rostad. Minjae Kwan. Preston Owen. Chase Hansel. Ibrahim Ismail Adibahi. Lydia Beggs. And that was the last of our applied economics graduates.
Our next major up is Environmental Sciences, Policy and Management. Emma Straw. Jacob Rapp. Samuel Hegseth. Theodore Robinson. Daniel Heikus. Evan Bruckner. Ty Evans. Bianca Herrera. Allison Matney. Dawson Cabe. Ethan Engel. Grace Kaltoff. Elena Wasco. Maeve Anya Chrislieb. Monica Gump. Simone Daly. Olivia Sartor. Ileana Campagna. Thank you. Ingrid Sund. Adam Brodsky. Emma Sullivan. Isabel Biobas Alvarado. Cyrung Bruner. Leif Nelson. Caitlin Hermanson. Emily Rademacher. Emma Walters. Piper Gallivan. Lucy Lipscomb. Virginia Radke. Louisa Brody. Natalie Buss. Claire Lister. Ellie Bergfolk. Gentry Hansen. Molly Seligman. Hope Ressler. Emma Grover. Hannah Ringquist. Olivia Tuso. Kevin Wickland. August Perkel. Keely Selman. Philip Humpfner. Sharu Soloff. Megan Avila. Ina Vigil. Linda Herbrand. Katrina Nelson. Mia Schwartz. Courtney Glenn. Taylor Warhol. Margaret Mosbeck Morrison. Claire Volk. Laurel Hillstrom. Malka Hampton. Thank you. Carson Hargraves. Evelyn Mann. Faye Darga. Ellie Olson. Elena Munger. Shushun Zheng. Simone Treband. Jasmine Curtis. Shannon Linehan. Georgia Feldman. And that is the end of the Environmental Science Policy and Management major.
Up next, we have Fisheries, Wildlife, and Conservation Biology, represented by Dr. John Feiberg. Ethan Hafner. Owen Stevenson. Nicole Leggin. Liana Lynn. Brittany McDonald. William Klein. Aiden Tarango. Ian Makowski. Elena Devine. Olivia Johnson. Molly Dayton. Anna Lapp. James Leinberg. Nicholas Mantris. Miko de Castillo. Matt Schmidt. Calvin Kravick. Gracie Meritus. Brooke Sullivan. Gretchen North. Kaya Hilgendorf Roost. Nelson Hahn. Amelia McDermott. Caleb Peterson. Ashley Kramer. Abigail Beerworth. Jack Sokup. Maddie Brown. Robin Stumbo. Kylie Anderson. Annika Hellerud. Grace Tuttle. Catherine Simmons. Ava Shimnowski. Amy Rothschild. Maxwell Lapointe. Emma Alexander. Jaden Peterson. Jack Van Nerden. That concludes the Fisheries, Wildlife, and Conservation Biology graduates.
The next major is Food Science, represented by Drs. Job Ubink and Zeta Vickers. Nicholas Bobigan. Rachel Lynch. Olivia Smith. Michelle Langnickel. Ava Vogel. Haley Scholl. Marcus Munoz Gavilan. Kenzie Taylor. Emerson Bernier. Avery Lemke. Kevin O'Rourke. Ian Hayai. Matthias Marvel Ganyawan. John Walzak. Ashley Matthew. Turong Fong Ni Win. Emily Nelson. Fang Zi Ma. Maya Duffy. Maya Kerrigan. Madeline Pinoza. And that is the end of the food science major.
Up next, we have Forest and Natural Resource Management, represented by Dr. Mike Dockery. Nicholas Foss. Caleb Dunawind. Henry Meyer. Elijah McCormick. Jake Shawansby. Noah Devlamick. Catherine Rowe. Luke Peters. Zachary Roth. Samuel Fox Johnson. Caleb Nolenberger. Sophia Lendeniva. Farron Keenan. Basil Nadalowski. Lauren Thompson. And that concludes the Forest and Natural Resource Management graduates.
The next major is nutrition, represented by Drs. Dan Gallagher and Kathleen Hill-Gallant. Grace Lee. Yufu Wang. Dong Sen Wang. Hannah Zook. Haley Yin. Catherine Olson. Hannah Stoffenecker. Mackenzie Garvin. Matthew Stone. Riley Jesvold. Tao Wang. Kelly Tran. Delani Hernandez. Brianna Erickson. Catherine Orme. Lauren Palila. Madeline Johnson. Jaden Kramer. Taylor Joa. Reagan Erdman. Zachary Jones. Eamon Idris. Yasmin Moran. Ben Hur Solomon. Michael Massey. Edward Nuskin. Hayden Eck. And that concludes the nutrition major.
Up next is plant sciences, represented by Dr. Mary Rogers. Winford McIntosh. Patrick McMullen. Kayla Vang. Kerr Yang. Lara Pester. London Proquash. Riley Peterson. Olivia Anderson. Kelly Vasick. Elizabeth Differt. Ava Peterson. Ronan Keener. Molly Loftus. Sydney Berry. Jordan Eby. Aiden Steadily. Timothy Beneke. Kane Farmer. And that concludes the plant science graduates.
Next up is Sustainable Agriculture and Food Systems, represented by Dr. Mary Rogers. Rose Prinz. Leah Transberg. Alexi Dietz. Abigail Thompson-Witt. Gabriel Jordan Huffman. William Hartnett. And that is the end of the Sustainable Agriculture and Food Systems major.
Up next, Sustainable Systems Management, represented by Dr. Hua Zhao. Alan McCutcheon. Russell Williams. Madeline Kinney. Lauren Nichols. Annabella Lau. Anna Figueroa Artiega. Nicholas Hohen. Lionel Penozola. Callan Tice. Kirsten Weil. Madeline Lang. Garrett Davis. Jayana Cager. Alicia Quartz. Maya Balbach. Benjamin Berry. And that concludes the Sustainable Systems Management graduates.
In addition to our CFANS students, we have students from other colleges joining us today. These students are unable to attend their upcoming commencement ceremonies due to scheduling conflicts, and we are happy to provide an opportunity for these graduates and their guests to participate in a commencement ceremony. They are represented by Professor of Geography and Vice Provost and Dean of Undergraduate Education, Dr. Robert McMaster. Dr. McMaster will soon be stepping down as Vice Provost and Dean of Undergraduate Education after serving 16 years in the position and returning to the faculty in the Department of Geography. We don't have an official record, but it's safe to say over these last 16 years, Dr. McMaster has attended more commencements at the University of Minnesota than just about everyone else, and we've finally found him something to do. Under Dr. McMaster's leadership, the Twin Cities campus saw the largest improvement in four-year graduation rates of any doctoral granting institution in the country. We have become a national leader in first-year retention rates and other student success measures, with particular attention to equity and inclusion and removing barriers to timely graduation. Please join me in thanking Dr. McMaster for his dedicated service to the University of Minnesota. Jayla Campbell. Abigail Skaoff. Delaney Itini. Odell Fry. Liesel Paulson. Muhammad Almanji. Carter Hughes. Ben Wurian. Jaden Antoine. Finnegan Schumer. This concludes the procession of the graduates. Let's give them another hand, the class of 2024.
Congratulations, everyone. It is now my pleasure to introduce Regent Hipsch to confer the degrees. Doug Hipsch is president of Goose Group, a company that owns and operates several destination retail stores, a microbrewery, and a specialty chocolate factory. Sounds good. Doug was also a partner and founder in New Life Farms, producing turkey and cattle. Hipsch was an Otter Tail County Commissioner for 12 years. His extensive volunteer experience includes service as chair of Prairie Lakes Municipal Solid Waste Authority and the Minnesota Statewide Community Health Services Advisory Committee. He served on the boards of Lakes County Service Cooperative, Otter Tail Lakes County Tourism, and the Otter Tail County Community Development Agency. From 2013 to 2014, Hipsch chaired the USDA National Committee on Agricultural Statistics that provided guidance to the Secretary of Agriculture. Hipsch received a bachelor's degree of applied economics from the University of Minnesota. He went on to serve as the chair of the University of Minnesota Alumni Association Board of Directors and on the Presidential Search Committee for the university's 17th president. He received the University of Minnesota Alumni Service Award in 2020. Please join me in welcoming Regent Doug Hipsch to the podium.
Thank you. Will the graduates please rise as you are able? Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority of the Board of Regents of the University of Minnesota, and with the completion of all remaining degree requirements, I now confer upon you the degree for which you have qualified. Congratulations, graduates. You may now move your tassel from the right to the left.
Yay, exciting times now. Thank you, Regent Hipsch. Now I would like to thank all the CFANS staff, faculty who worked so hard to ensure a great success of the ceremony today. I especially want to thank Julia Reich, Bree Anderson-Berg, Dr. Hal de la Rosby, and Commencement Committee for their many efforts in organizing this event. I also want to recognize our musicians, the University Avenue Jazz Band. Let's show them our appreciation. Following the singing of Hail Minnesota and the recessional, I invite you to gather in the concourse level of the arena. Page 24 of the program provides information about which section will connect you with your student and the faculty and from their major. After singing, we ask that our guests please sit and remain seated until the recessional has been completed. I now invite everyone to please stand and join us in singing Hail Minnesota. The words can be found on page 25 of your program.